Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective. With pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Thursday, October 28th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we should have Andrew McInnis and Jimmy Murphy with us momentarily as well. We are ready to break down the Thursday NHL card. We've got 9 games on tap today, so a lot of games on tap, a lot of interesting games as well, some fascinating ones, so we will get to that. We'll get to that in just a second. It would be pretty... now, I've used the word tone deaf to describe a lot of things that have happened the last 24 hours. So obviously, it would be a little bit tone deaf for me, not to mention, obviously, what happened yesterday with Kyle Beach's interview. It was hard to watch that. I mean, that was gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching. Your heart goes out to him, basically pours out all of his emotions and all his experiences and what he went through during just an absolutely horrendous, horrific incident. If you haven't watched it was about a 25-minute interview that Kyle Beach did, who was, of course, John Doe, the victim in that sexual assault incident from Brad Aldrich, the video coach of the Blackhawks some 11 years ago. If you have not watched that interview that Kyle Beach did, stepping forward with Rick Westhead, who did terrific, by the way. His tone in that whole interview was outstanding. His work and his investigative report work during this whole thing was outstanding. So make sure you check it out. It's been played a lot throughout, TSN, Sportsnet. I know TNT on their broadcast last night played a bunch of it. I'm sure ESPN's run it a bunch, but just it's just your heart goes out to him. He's just saying he's just now going to start to heal now that this has become public, now that the Blackhawks have at least acknowledged this. So you're right. It takes guts to step up and say that publicly. We were thinking maybe he didn't have a choice because I think some people were nosing around and putting the pieces together and that they were kind of figuring it out that he was the quote unquote John Doe that was involved, talking about Kyle Beach. But nevertheless, still for him to do that interview, it was obviously, you could tell with the emotion, extremely difficult for him to do that. Hopefully it's part of the healing process for him moving forward. It's one of the hardest things I've seen, to be honest with you, certainly in hockey. Seeing that interview, that poignant piece there. And now all of a sudden we're entering Thursday here with a lot of things up in the air, with this whole situation. This is a complete all-around failure. Now, we've been crapping on the Blackhawks and what their executive team 2010 did to ignore this and not report it, not do what they should regarding it, not do enough about it. But we've now got to look at other people too, the league. Hold them accountable. Donald Fear and the NHLPA, hold them accountable a little bit. Of course, Joel Quenneville is meeting with Gary Bettman right now as we speak. I believe it was a 2 p.m. Eastern meeting this afternoon. And to me, it's part of Gary Bettman, I think, trying to save face a little bit, that he's probably going to bring the hammer down on Quenneville, not because he wants to. It's because I'm trying to save himself, maybe make himself maybe look a little bit good in this whole situation. So to me, it's just it's a horrible ordeal all around. Obviously, the Blackhawks, right after the game last night, which they lost in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs, were asked about it. I understand Kane and Taves wanting to address it. I thought they could have addressed it better than they did. And certainly, I think Jonathan Taves could have addressed it better than he did. I was stunned with some of the remarks I heard from him. And the one that stands out to me, it's first of all, the training camp thing that he only learned about it the next year. Well, don't you say something then about it? Or don't you do something about it then? I know it's months and months after what transpired, but isn't that the time to step up and do something about it to help this young man, Kyle Beach, at that time? And then the other thing that really, really, it puzzled me, it angered me last night with him talking about what great people Stan Bowman and Al McIsaac were. And I'm like, man, do you not understand the situation here? Do you not understand what's going on? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm sure Kyle was eventually going to hear that interview that Jonathan Taves gave to the media last night. Do you think he or the other kid that was victimized or the families of those victims want to hear at that moment in time what great people Stan Bowman and Al McIsaac are? Seriously? That's the time you're going to pick to say something like that? I don't give two shits if they treated you like kings or they treated you like royalty for the last 11 years as a member of the Chicago Blackhawks. Don't care. They could have, maybe you had a great personal relationship with both Stan and Al. Maybe the working relationship was terrific. Maybe they just, you got along well with them. They treated you well. They treated your family well and all that stuff. That's just not the time you say something like that they're good people, Stan Bowman and Al McIsaac. That's tone deaf, and that's horseshit timing. I can tell you that. Horseshit to say something like that. You could think that way, and I'm not one to say, Jonathan Toews, this is how you should feel. This is the way you should, this is what you should feel about those two individuals, because maybe they did treat you well. Maybe it was a great relationship. Maybe they had you over for dinners and barbecues and, you were close with their families, whatever. But keep it to yourself. If you feel that way, that they're good people, keep it to yourself. You don't say it at that moment after what's gone down involving Stan and involving Al. It's just horrible that he picked that time last night to say, but they're good people. They were not good in that moment. 11 years ago, I can tell you that right now. Horrible timing to say that. Terrible. I mean, just tone deaf to say it in that moment last night. So very disappointed about that from Jonathan Toews. Alex, this will be it. We're not going to talk about this for a while. This is going to be our last time talking about it for a while. We're going to get back to, the focus of the show is obviously NHL from a betting perspective. But Alex, will give you the floor here for some thoughts on the Beach interview and the Blackhawks' response to it after the game last night.
Yeah, like you said, it was very tough to watch that interview with Kyle Beach, and I hope that part of him doing that interview was because he felt open enough to say that this is what happened to me. I'm John Doe, and step up in that situation. It took tremendous courage for him to do that, but I hope he wasn't forced by the fact that honestly, it was not the Blackhawks, but the report itself that gave away his identity. They mentioned his age, and then they mentioned a quote from Aldridge directly saying, well, you're a guy who's just a fighter. So you put those two things together, anybody who can figure out, who knows that roster, knows that lineup, knew it was him. I was stunned when I read that and saw that particular excerpt that pretty much outed him. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. How did, the whole job of the legal procedure was to protect his identity, and they did a terrible job in doing that. So I don't know how he feels about the fact that came out or whatever, but the fact of the matter is he did step up and do this interview, and kudos to him for like I said, stepping up and doing that. It had to be tremendously tough, and obviously you saw the emotion that he went through in that interview, and how pained he still is through this. As far as Toews and Kane with their comments, like I said, Toews' comments were insanely tone deaf. And I had a question posed before hearing that, and then it even sparked more of the question even more, is that with obviously, like I said, Toews mentioning the how his remarks toward Bowman and McIsaac, said just way out of tone and out of line at that moment. But him saying that he didn't know anything until the next training camp, it kind of leads me to looking at and Jimmy, I'm glad you're here now because you could probably answer this question better than any of us. You've been around teams during playoff runs for years. What is the locker room divide, or if there isn't a divide, amongst your regular rotation of players, your active roster and scratches, and black aces who were called up in the middle of the run? Are those guys close? Or especially with a guy like Beach, who at that time was a junior player, only spent maybe a few weeks in Rockford and then joined the Hawks. Is everybody still in one group, or are they kind of split off to the as far as socially as between games and so forth?
They travel as one group, but they'll practice, on game day skates or off days in separate groups, and they won't be in the dressing room at the same time. But that being said, I mean, guys, I don't know, like I haven't covered other pro sports well enough to say it, but all I can say is that a hockey team, a hockey organization, especially the hierarchy on the team or on the coaching and on the management levels, they're all in the know of anything that's going on. I mean, if I'm a black ace and I go out one night, the night before a playoff game, and I get banged up and, I miss curfew or something, everybody's going to know it around the team. So like for something like this, for people to try and say that, oh, well, it wasn't part of what I was, where I was, and it wasn't connected to me at the time. Bullshit. They knew, they all knew. And you can tell in their words too, the way they're saying it too. I mean, they just, I don't even know what to say anymore, but I just saying, like, I think I said it on Twitter. I'm going to say it again. I mean, I think right now you're going to see, you're seeing people resign to management already. I think the right thing for Jonathan Toews to do right now, he's admitting that maybe he didn't know right when it happened, but he knew eventually, and he still did nothing about it for years. He needs to relinquish the seat. I think he needs to hand over the captaincy and to really move on from this. And then in the off season, I think the Blackhawks need to look into moving him and Patrick Kane and moving on from that era of their franchise. They need to really change. And that's the only way, is when you separate yourself from that culture that was established. You have to do that right now. You need to move on. And the fact that Joel Quenneville too, shame on the Florida Panthers, shame on the NHL that Joel Quenneville was coaching last night. I thought that was disgusting.
That was absurd. I agree. That's totally absurd. He was behind that.
I guarantee he's going to come out of it unscathed today. You watch. He's going to pay a fine. No big deal. And it's going to be up to the Florida Panthers to make the right call and fire him.
It's absolutely awful. And Jimmy, you just like I said a minute ago before you came in, Jonathan Toews with Stan Bowman and McIsaac, like I said, maybe it was the best relationship. It was great. It was a great personal relationship. They treated me like kings. They treated me like royalty. They treated me great. We had a great relationship. We were close with my family, was close with Al's family and with Stan's family. I can't change the way he feels about those two guys and the way the relationship has been. But you can't say it publicly last night in that spot that they're good people. You can't. That's just a terrible time to say that. Kyle Beach and the victims and their families don't want to hear that.
I have people that I was friends with that ended up not being so great people, and they did some really bad things, and I disassociated myself with them. And I don't care how great my relationship was up until that point. I can't pretend what they did, and I'm telling you, it was something that they're still in jail for. I can't pretend that didn't happen. I can't just whitewash it because, oh, well, everything was great until that point. I can't just sit. And that's basically what is continuing to happen with that culture, is that they're trying to say, okay, yeah, we messed up, but we're still great people and everybody makes mistakes. No, you made a mistake for like 7 years or longer. Like, this isn't just some mistake you made once. Yeah. You repeatedly, continually sat on it and made it. And you lived in a state of denial that this didn't exist. And and this is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. We're going to learn a lot more. I'm telling you, there's more coming. I got to
jump in here because first of
all, go ahead, Andrew. Yep.
Across the league, you watch. This isn't just about the Blackhawks. So I'm not just singling them out. This is about the league. And furthermore, I think the biggest ones who should be fried here and really persecuted is the NHLPA, and specifically Donald Fear. Yes. Because that's what they're there for. They're supposed to be there for Kyle.
They're a support system for every single player, even one that hadn't played an NHL regular season game yet. Yeah.
Jimmy, out of all the passionate rants that you were having on Twitter yesterday, that's the one that Donald I agree with the most. Fucking
fraud. I'm sorry. Yeah. I said it right there. He's a goddamn fraud. And that's how he got in there. He lied his way into that position. And Andrew Ferentz, a former Bruin I covered, and he doesn't like me because I'm telling the truth about this. He was behind it, and they lied about Paul Kelly, and they orchestrated a coup, and they got him in there, and this is what they get for putting that fraud in that position.
There you go.
Sorry, what's that, Andrew?
Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, a lot of passionate stuff going around from a lot of people yesterday online, and rightfully so. Before I start, I just want to say it was just incredibly hard to watch, guys. Like, I felt sick to my stomach. I'm very it was very hard. And even afterwards, I think I felt worse for the next 30 to 40 minutes afterwards. My girlfriend got home from work. She worked for 10 hours in healthcare. And she's like, what's going on? Like, are you mad about something? Are you not feeling well? Like, there was just I'm a relatively happy guy. You guys know me, Yeah. And I just there's just something off with me. And I'm the kind of guy, and you guys will know, I'm back. We're working with you guys every day. If there's something off with me, you know it. If I'm not cracking jokes or getting off to a side small conversation, and that's kind of, if something like that, I can watch it for 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long that was, and it can affect you that much, then it was just something that's so tough. But I agree with what Jimmy was saying as far as the PA and the management goes. And that's kind of where I feel the most strongly about. And again, we're here. This is an NHL betting show. We don't want to make this too much, but it's something worth talking about. And look, I just think personally that I don't quite understand. And I know that for some reason people are going to disagree with me on this, but I think that collectively everybody should, I think Taves should be getting what he's getting right now, but there weren't just 4 people on the team. Screw the leadership shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry, but I don't care about that. Why are we only why is everybody just hating on the leadership core? If everybody else, if I robbed a bank and Ian was the captain of our team and you two know about it and you guys kept it in, people sure as shit shouldn't be only going after our captain. It's your guys' fault for knowing I robbed the bank too.
Well, it's a collective fail. Yeah.
So
collective. Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm not
aren't
trying to
people put in that position for a reason? Aren't they entrusted in those positions?
True. But to kind of piggyback on Andrew's point, and that was kind of what the question I was leading to, is that when you look at, like I said, we're talking specifically about the depth and the core of that group. Keep in mind that team was loaded for 3 or 4 years, to the point of where a lot of guys that were good enough. Right. They were they ended up being turnover that first year because of the issues where everybody had to get moved out right away because of the contract thing from the year before.
Yeah.
But my point is that there were a lot of those guys like Beach and others who were in Rockford for 2, 3, 4 years that would have been on NHL teams. So when he mentions about how players were hazing him and taunting him about things, there's a lot of guys that were in that Rockford group. And that's why I asked about, were they not exactly around with the Hawks? They were just mostly in Rockford. I think about a guy like Corey Crawford. Corey Crawford spent 2.5 years in Rockford until he got finally called up. He was a black ace for
I was wondering, why hasn't anybody brought him up?
There's a lot of players that were closer or would appear to be closer to Beach than, say, Taves and Kane, guys who they never spent a day in the minors. So that's why I asked about the split of, and that was a real cliquey group too, mind you, the 2010 team. A lot of those guys hung out in the same bars. They all lived in the same neighborhood. So that's why I asked about, is there a split between the big core group that was on the NHL roster for those years and the guys who were going back and forth between Rockford and Chicago?
Yeah. That's one thing I think is wrong about journalism these days in print and media is that it's not first to get out. It's not first to get the right information out. It's first to get the story out, period.
Yeah.
And so the problem is, and this happens with, I've got a couple different group chats with friends. We talk about sports and stuff, and everybody instantly just wants to have an opinion. Everybody wants to have their opinion. They want to think stuff and say things. And what I think is the biggest problem, I'm the kind of person that, I'm not saying I give people the benefit of the doubt. I just like to know information. And the fact of the matter is, I think everybody did know, guys, what was going on.
Yeah.
I think we all think that.
I think we have enough information now too, because Rick Westhead did an amazing job with the story. I mean,
but Jimmy, I'm gonna sit here and confidently think that some people knew more than others. I don't think everybody knew the exact same amount. And
look, guys, there's a collective failure throughout. But the biggest thing that we have to worry about, right? I think, and we're not just, like you guys say, we shouldn't just focus on the Blackhawks and on those guys in particular. This is a league thing. This is an NHLPA thing. So if it happened there and it got buried at the league level and at the PA,
there could have been a couple other incidents and a couple other people that were.
How many teams? Other teams have had these issues.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I know
perpetrators.
A guy, I know several people
walking around out there somewhere. Yeah,
I know several people that went to played for the QMJHL. I covered the QMJHL and here in Atlantic Canada, and obviously the Quebec Major League. They had to show up to a party. They were given an outfit to wear. And they had to put their phone in a bucket. They said nobody would take an embarrassing picture of them, and they got to wear this embarrassing outfit around this whole party. Nobody can say anything. I've heard stories that you wouldn't even believe. I don't even want to mention on here. I'm sure you guys have all heard different stories. I've heard a hazing story where each rookie with a girlfriend had to cheat on their girlfriend. It's crazy. And the thing is, these guys are 16, 17 years old, right? When they go off, and speaking from someone from Halifax, if you're from Halifax or Moncton or Cape Breton, I don't know, a lot of people might not know where those places are, but you have the QMJHL is built up of all Quebec teams, and then there's a maritime division where I'm from. So 5 teams in the maritime division. If you go off to a Quebec team, you don't speak a lick of French. First of all, that's cliquey right there. All the French guys, there's maybe 3 or 4 guys that know English. Yeah. There is hazing to the extreme. And I'm not saying it's only in Quebec, it's in the maritime division as well, but yeah, I think it's a great point that you guys mentioned, and Jimmy, how you're harping on that, because I think that should be the next step. It's like, because it's what's happening with the Blackhawks right now, obviously that's in the spotlight. But in general, sometimes when stuff like this happens, it should open up a whole conversation for the rest of everything, you know. And I'm not taking anything away from this spotlight and what happened with him. I'm just saying that it's happening all over hockey.
What about this too, guys? Is that, you know, you look at it. What did Gary Bettman know? We know now that Donald Fear knew, but what did Gary Bettman know? And if he knew and he sat on it, and he helped bury it, which I'm guessing he did. And let's not forget how powerful the Wirtz family is. All right. I mean, they have the board of governors, and there's this.
Beach said in his interview, just Jimmy, one sec. Beach said in his interview that apparently the NHL turned down the initial request for an investigation.
Safe
so
search.
there you go.
As well.
So then he should go too.
Yeah.
They need to. I'm telling you guys, this thing is way bigger than the Blackhawks. And there needs to be an upheaval at all these levels right now, because like they say, shit trickles down, and it trickled down big time here, and it probably goes down to the minors, and like you said, it's in the juniors too. But let's just focus on the NHL right now. This is going to be a league-wide thing, and it's just horrible. It's brutal. And then you know, I look at it like this, like, what is Joe Quenneville doing? Like, not going back to him, I harp on him though, but he was proven. It's like right there, he lied. It's proven that he lied. So why is he doubling down on that? Like, dude, look at how good. I mean, they don't look good isn't the word, but look at how much better they look now than they could have if they kept the lie going. When I'm talking about John Turchetti and Paul Vincent, and you saw how Kyle thanked them. That's because they came forward and they said, yeah, you know what? We fucked up and we could have stopped this, and we're sorry. But this is what happened. This is what these people have to learn. I never understand people that when they're caught lying, why they continue to lie. Just if you're caught lying, admit you're wrong, move on, learn your lesson. You look like a much better person. You look like a man when you do that. But when you keep lying, you look like a little child and an entitled brat.
Yeah, it is. I find the lies bury you even more. They don't save you in the end. And that's sometimes what can get you into trouble. But we just wish Kyle and all the best in the future. And, you know, incredibly, courageous of him. Whether again, he probably was at the point where people were starting to put it all together that he was the one that was involved. But nevertheless, for him to still go on television, do a 25-minute interview, and pour his heart out there like that.
Yeah. Alex, too. I mean, I want your take on this. I thought what DeBrincat said, I thought he was great. And you know what? If they do remove the C, I would put it right on him after what he said there. He said, you know what? He's not trying to say he's not trying to distance himself, but he's also not. It was a different era. It was a different chapter. He's part of the new wave of players there. And for him to say, so far, I haven't seen any other quotes, but so far he's the only one I've seen who said this needed to happen. These people need to be called to the carpet. And when he's saying these people, he's talking about his teammates and his captain. He's talking about players that he has to face in the locker room. So I thought what he said took a lot of guts, and I think he should be respected for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, and not only just the players. Yeah, and like I said, and even more so the higher ups, you got the people who drafted him, who brought him into the league and in the organization. So for to call to action that on that big of a level, yeah, like I said, that takes just as much courage, a lot of courage. And so that she should be rewarded for that if they do make changes. And that's the thing, you have now this mix of people who weren't around there. Yeah. Most notably, Jeremy Colliton. This guy was playing in the league at the time with the Northern organization, so he's kind of a complete outsider. So whether he's the one to make changes in that locker room, who knows? I can't imagine. The thing is, he's kind of in the jackpot as well, because he can't really afford to ruffle anybody's feathers right now because his job's on the line. So that makes for things to be kind of a tense situation on top of this.
What do you think Marc-Andre Fleury's thinking right now?
Probably wishes he retired.
Yeah.
And
the team's still winless. He's not even starting. He's not even starting now. It's been Lankin in the last couple of games. That's
he must just be like, what did I step in here? Jesus.
Yeah. He's got to be thinking that. There's no way he can be thinking, wait a minute, this is going to turn around.
And who's to say that at any point? Who's to say at any point he doesn't go into Kyle Davidson's office and say, you know what, I'm done.
He could. Yeah. I think if it gets worse, it might.
Trade me right fucking now. Tell Detroit bullshit.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, and everybody else, I was on with Morency on Tuesday late night and doing my spot with him, and we were talking about how the difference in blame of players and management. And I think ethically, obviously, I said out the gate that I think whether you have an A or a C or whatever letter you have, you're an equal person. You have ethics. I don't think the letter matters as much. But we were talking about just legality and criminal stuff. Like, this is just like everybody I've talked to. Like, I got my buddy and was going back with me yesterday saying, well, it's all they can do is go to the management, and then after that, I mean, the management's supposed to do their job, and I agree with that, but if we're talking about players, ethically, you can go beyond that. You can go to NHLPA. NHLPA doesn't work. Let's get the hell out of the hockey talk and go to a cop or something. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, like, obviously,
Everyone
think that
kept passing the buck. That's what happened. Everyone just kept passing the buck.
Yeah. But I think ultimately, like, nobody is in the right for letting this know. And it's a secret that they all live with and just pass along. But the management, shame on them, because I get it. Taze was wearing the C. He was very young, all these guys. And that was when, I was pretty young then. This is 10 years ago, honestly. And they were really great. The Blackhawks were awesome. And the thing is that the fact this gets ignored, NHLPA denying that request, and for the management for the Blackhawks, I'm curious what this would have all been like if they were shitty. Because they were such a great team, it makes a hell of a lot difference. Yeah, and for true. Shame.
Didn't want to disrupt the cup run. Distraction. They didn't want the distraction. We're laser focused on winning the Stanley
That's the last
Cup.
thing I'll say, but I feel absolutely horrible.
And the last point I'll make here is this: the whole the cover up was done to keep this, like I said, from distracting from what was going on with the playoff run
in the present.
So right, so management, everybody that was in that room for that meeting, the two groups of people they don't want finding out. 1A is the public and the media. 1B would be the immediate players in that room. You don't want them getting this. That's where you don't want the distraction. Even if the media finds out, okay, but you got to try to downplay the distraction to the guys in that room because you're trying to win a Stanley Cup. According to that's what the reason for the cover up was. So when you look at it from that aspect, that's why when you say okay, well, who knew what at what time and what things were said.
Right.
That's that's where that question comes. And also too to the fact of this. Okay, the players, let's say the players knew about it. Let's say the players found out about it from some other channel. Even if they go up to management, all management's probably going to say is, well, we're going to tell, McDonough, and then McDonough would say the same thing he said to everybody in that room.
Where's that coward right now?
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, what's going on with him?
Yeah, like, John McDonough doesn't have to answer any questions. And Jarek in the chat saying it's nice that Stan Bowman gets to slink off into the sunset there and not answer any questions. And his why haven't we heard from Stanley?
Guys, I'm curious. I know we had to move on, but how does this work criminally? Like what goes on behind? Like we're talking about fines and coaches and all this. Like this is such a bigger picture than just hockey.
Tell you one thing.
You know what I mean?
I can tell you one thing. As far as Joe Quenneville is concerned, he needs to hire a lawyer immediately because he wrote the review. That wasn't a letter of recommendation, but he wrote a year-end coaches review, giving high marks to Aldridge, and that was eventually used for him to move on. So he's liable to be sued in civil court from the victim from the Michigan incident and anybody else. So that's one thing I do kind of know criminally. Other things I'm not sure of, but that is definitely something.
Recommending the guy after he already knew what was going on. That's hard to fathom. That's
what?
Beyond.
You know what scares me too, guys, and this is why I keep saying it's a bigger thing than just the Blackhawks. I mean, obviously the Panthers are involved now, but Bill Zito didn't seem the least bit sorry, the least bit worried about it. Like when he spoke to the media, he came out and it was just like, and that just shows you that this is epidemic's a strong word, but it's an infection that has spread through the league, and it's everywhere, and that's what's scary is that there's this mentality that it's okay to bury these things and to ignore them. And then when you're caught, to act like you're not caught. And that's what scares me the most right now about where the NHL's headed is that there's a whole culture within the league. I'm not saying I'm not trying to paint the whole league as bad. I'm just saying there is a culture there that doesn't seem to give a shit about this. And that's scary to me.
Just almost indifferent. And
yes, that's a perfect word. Thank you.
Indifferent to it. And look, Jonathan Toews has always been stoic. He's always been Captain Serious is what they call him. And he's almost like a robot though last night, emotionless, just stiff, wooden, whatever you want to call it.
I'll say this, Ian.
Wooden,
they're all being careful, right?
Yeah.
Look at Duncan Keith's interview, right? They're all being careful what they're saying.
Yep,
you know,
I don't know.
It's
Who knows, guys?
It's
I'll tell you what,
unfortunate.
the Blackhawks really. I'll give the guys credit on the ice for the way they showed up after all that.
Yeah,
They actually
and the
played a
irony,
solid enough game.
who are the two guys to score right away? Doc and DeBrincat, the guys who are supposed to be the future leaders of this team.
Yeah. That's almost like poetic or a sign or a symbol that's the future of the Blackhawks. And we're moving on from Kane soon. We're moving on from Jonathan Taves soon, and it's time for a new era of Blackhawk hockey. You're right, Doc and DeBrincat, the goal scorers for Chicago, even though they fell short on the scoreboard to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, we'll turn our attention to betting, which seems far more minuscule compared to the topic we just discussed. But move on, we must. It's time to break down the Thursday card. We'll start with Calgary and Pittsburgh. We've got the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's pretty much even money right now, -110, both sides, 5.5 the total in this game. The Flames, this great road trip for them. 4 straight wins on the road here on the trip. Remember, they lost their last home game before the trip to Anaheim. They go on the road to Detroit, to Washington, New York Rangers, and New Jersey, victorious in all 4 games, playing extremely well. Getting goal scoring up and down their lineup and getting timely goaltending as well from the duo of Jacob Markstrom. And as well, the other night played well in a backup role for the Calgary Flames that night as well. Was Dan Vladar for the Calgary Flames. Of course, Jimmy knows him well, former Boston Bruin, and Vladar played pretty solidly in net that night against the New Jersey Devils. So it's been a nice start to Calgary, and it's not a team I want to go against, but we do want to bring up, it's been a long road trip. It's been a good one. This is the last game of that road trip, and you know what that sometimes means. That last game, especially when it's been a good one, you don't get that great final performance. Look at San Jose the other night. They're flat as a pancake against Nashville on that last game of the road trip. So, yeah, I'm not going against Calgary, and I'm not betting this game other than one goal scorer prop, and you know what it is. It's Andrew Mangiapane. I mean, I told you after that last game, we got to start looking toward this guy who was at the end of Tuesday night's games is tied with Alex Ovechkin, believe it or not, for goal scoring leader. And they still really haven't adjusted the prop too much. It was plus 220 in the New Jersey game. It's plus 210 tonight. So it's not a real big adjustment for a guy that's one of the, hottest goal scorers in the league right now to begin the year. So that's the only bet for me here in this game. It's Andrew Mangiapane, plus 210 anytime goal. I lean Calgary. They're playing well, but I just don't love this. The final home road game, it's been a long trip. Sometimes you don't see the best performance from teams in this spot. Alex, what do you think? Calgary, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's a lean to Calgary for me. Like you said, this is the 3rd game in 4 nights. When we thought they would lay an egg the other night against New Jersey, but then New Jersey with their backup goalie and their 7-8 turnovers in the first period pretty much gave the game away, and Calgary goes on and runs away with it. So, now we'll see, the fatigue kind of sets in. Sometimes having that day off in between before getting ready to go home, that's when things kind of really settle in, and teams are looking a little bit forward to getting back home. So, Pittsburgh, we talked about how well they've played over this stretch with, missing their key pieces with, no Malkin, no Crosby, no Rust. And now they got Casey DeSmith in net, which I thought was interesting. It makes sense. Obviously, they don't want to just burn Jari out right away. But Jari, for as good as his numbers are at home instead of on the road, you'd think that they would try to have given him the start here. But it is DeSmith nonetheless. So this is one I'm just going to stay away from. It would be a lean toward Calgary because I like the way they're playing right now. And maybe they do want to try to end this road trip on a high note. But sometimes we do see them fall flat. So it's just kind of a wait and see approach for this.
All right, wait and see for Alex with this one between the Flames and the Penguins. We'll see how it goes here in this one tonight. What do you think here, Andrew? Calgary, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I just look at this game, and it's funny because, like you said, there's that the end of a road trip. There's the Pittsburgh Penguins angle that, we kind of it's that time of year where it's current form. We can't just look at, this team has nobody. They're still a little bit banged up, or they have a COVID protocol. They've been an all right hockey team, guys. And like many teams have said, they're tough to play against. They play well defensively. They're tight checking. So, slight lean here with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Haven't quite gotten to the window. But, I think if you look at the advanced stats here, Calgary Flames shooting percentage much better than it should be. That number will regress. I mean, that number, the starts they've had to some games, starts they had that Devils game that we joked around they were hungover for. We're going to see some regression in that spot. And Pittsburgh still has some guys that can score. And most importantly, they've actually been, taking care of the puck. So we'll see what happens. But I wanted to mention as well, Pittsburgh last couple games here, take away that absolute debacle against Tampa Bay, but they really haven't been allowing that many goals. What was it? 1 against Toronto, 2 against Dallas, 2 against Chicago, and then prior to that, they played Florida. So against any average, below average, a little bit above average teams, they're actually not allowing that many goals. So I think it's a bet on spot for Pittsburgh at home, and I think the price is right here.
Can Pittsburgh here a little bit at even money? Jimmy, Calgary, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, guys, I got burnt when I went away from the Flames. I've been riding them heading into New Jersey there. And like you said, they look great. And then that hangover works. So, I'm going to go back with the Flames now. And of course, they'll probably lose. But I think I'm going to go back to them right now, ride that. I think Pittsburgh, sooner or later, this ragtag bunch that they got going right now, is they're going to run out of steam. And I think that happens tonight. So give me the Flames on the money line.
All right, like in Calgary here, -110, Jimmy, in this one. Boston and Carolina. We've got Carolina -135, home favorites, 5.5 being the total in this game here. The Bruins, I took Florida yesterday. Again, I was concerned. They didn't come out good at all. And I'm thinking, whoa, at the beginning of the game. Is Coach Q, madness going on off the ice, getting to them a little bit? Because they didn't play well in the first period, and I thought maybe that had something to do with it. But maybe it was just they didn't play well because, boy, they played good from the second period onward. It was a much different Panthers team, and they erased an early 1-0 lead for Boston, and they end up winning 4-1 to go to 7-0 on the season, Florida. So very impressive. But Boston proved in that game against Florida last night, Jimmy, that maybe they're just not ready yet to be ready to beat some of these really good teams in the Eastern Conference. And that's kind of what I think tonight. As well against Carolina. I don't think they're ready to beat the Hurricanes tonight in this game either. A rested, fresh Hurricanes team off to their undefeated 6-0 start. So poor Boston, they have to play back-to-back on the road against 2 undefeated hockey teams. Not a good schedule not a good schedule hand dealt their way these last 2 games. The Bruins defensively, I saw it last night. I mean, Florida, when they kept attacking, the transition game was really causing Boston fits the longer that game went on last night. And look, that's the way Carolina plays. Their transition game is excellent. Just ask Toronto. Every time Toronto turned the puck over at the opponent's blue line or in the neutral zone, it was going the other way. And in a lot of instances, it was in their net. Odd man rushes. Carolina's good at creating those. Carolina also with 4 lines that can all chip in offensively. That's going to test Boston and Bruce Cassidy. Who do you match up with when you got 3 lines and sometimes even 4 lines that can score, on this Carolina team? So you factor that in. Factor in that it's a back-to-back on the road for the Boston Bruins too, which isn't going to make this particular spot an opponent tonight any easier for them. And like I said earlier, Carolina's winning games, finding ways to win. I took Carolina as a best bet on the show against Boston. I don't know if it's going to be best bet tonight, but I am definitely still on Carolina here, -135 in this game. Looks like Jeremy Swayman in net tonight for the Boston Bruins, which we expected because Allmark got the start last night against Florida. So it is Swayman, who's had some great starts, and he's also had some shaky ones. I still think of the Philadelphia game. He didn't look too sharp in that game. And, Carolina's got the offense to maybe make you pay. So the Carolina money line for me. Alex, what do you like here? Boston, Carolina.
Yeah, I like the first period over here in this spot, and the numbers actually dropped. It was -$1.25, and now it's $1.20. These are 2 teams that get off to fast starts. We've seen the goal in the first 10 minutes cash often with both of these clubs, and like I said, this is kind of a spot where with Boston, going back and forth against Florida and not having to take on another tough undefeated team in Carolina could catch up with them. So I like the first period over. I'm going to stay away from a side because, like I said, I think Carolina, at some point, Carolina is going to suffer a loss, and they've got a back-to-back. This is the first of back-to-backs here. They've got this game, and then they got Chicago coming in tomorrow. So keep an eye on that. But I think we'll see at least a fast start and get some goals early.
All right, first period over, 1.5, Boston, Carolina for Alex. Andrew, what do you like here, Bruins and Canes?
Yeah, well, I ended up on the over in last night's Bruins game, and the Bruins just didn't do their part. Jimmy was spot on with their defensive troubles. The problem is the Bruins just didn't do their part for me. I liked the Panthers last night, but I thought we'd see some compete level a little bit better for the Bruins. But I don't know. They're just a team that I think has a good bounce back capability. They've always been pretty good off a loss. I think that as much as they have some newer guys, they do have leadership in the room. And what happened the last time I predicted a bounce back for them? I mean, it wasn't against the Hurricanes. It was against the Sabres. But they scored some goals, and they scored early, and Pasta got involved, and we're getting some pretty good prices. So I think the over is the play here. Ian, we've both been riding these Hurricanes overs. They've scored a minimum of 4 goals in every game they've played in this season. And I can sure bet that the Bruins are going to score more than just 1 goal tonight. So let's not forget that game against the Hurricanes from the Toronto Maple Leafs. How many chances did the Hurricanes allow? If the Leafs were in such a funk where they couldn't score to save their lives, I think the Bruins would have buried some of the chances the Leafs might have had. Any disagreements with that? I think the Bruins, Pasta, Marshy, those guys would have buried some of those.
Possibly. Anderson's playing great. I mean, this looks like he's revitalized again, being out of Toronto. He's been sensational for the Hurricanes early on.
Yeah, so I'm on the over, guys. I like the play.
Yeah, I mean, I like that at over 5.5 as well. I lean that way for sure, 5.5, because 6 it was at some books earlier in the day. It's actually dropped 5.5 now, pretty much available across the board. So it was actually under where this line was bet. But with Carolina, it's still over or pass for me, especially when I see a 5.5. And I might bet a small taste of the over here, even though I prefer Carolina as the side in this game. What do you think here, Jimmy? Boston, Carolina.
I'm right with Andy. I love the over in this, and I'm also going to go the over in the first period. I think we see some tired legs for the Bruins. Their defense is sloppy lately, and I think that, they might come out a little fired up too, though, up front. I think it's going to kind of be a loosey-goosey game to start. So I like the over in the first period and the over total.
All right, first period and full game over for Jimmy in this one. Arizona, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay minus 310. Home favorites, 5.5 the total. Get used to this. $3 favorites against Arizona. You better get used to this. We've seen it with Florida. We're seeing it again right now with Tampa Bay tonight in this game. I'm going to go to the same bet I had the other night with Florida against Arizona, and that's the combo bet. Tampa Bay Lightning and over 5.5 is plus 136 to plus 140 in that range at a couple books that offer those combo bets. It's the best way to go with these big favorites. If you think they're going to win the game, you combo it with a total, either under or over. And for Arizona, it can only be over for me because the defense is so bad. So that's the way I'm going to go here. Tampa Bay and over 5.5, plus 136 to plus 140. There's a couple books that have plus 140 as well on that. So Tampa Bay just to win the game and the game to go over 5.5 is what that means. If both of those things happen, it cashes at plus 140 in some spots. So that's the bet for me. Very simple. I lean to the Lightning team total over, but I'm not going to bet that. I would prefer the price on this Tampa and over 5.5 combo. Tampa to win and over 5.5 goals makes sense to me. Hopefully they don't fall asleep like they did against Buffalo. That's the one worry. They played a weak team and they kind of were lethargic that night. They're coming off a bounce back win against Pittsburgh, but I think they should do what a lot of teams have done against Arizona. That's score goals in bunches against them. So Tampa Bay and over 5.5, the combo, just like I had with the Florida Arizona game the other night. Alex, your thoughts here, Coyotes and Lightning.
Yeah, shit. This team can be high, drunk, sleep, whatever, and they'll still find a way to get goals against Arizona tonight. I like the first period over here. I'm surprised that we're getting this even close to the range of minus $1.15 to $1.20. I thought this was going to open up much higher, especially once they announced that it's Ivan Prosvetov. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's starting in net for Arizona. Another improvement. I doubt he's going to be as stellar as everyone's trying to make Karel Vejmelka to be. I think we're going to see goals here early and often. Like I said, the price for the team total is a little too high for Tampa Bay. I don't want to be laying that price with a 3.5 or even a 4.5. So I'm just going to go with the first period over. And maybe hopefully we can get Arizona goal first, and then we can probably get a better adjusted number on regulation with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Prosvetov, I mean, for Arizona, the goalie for them tonight, he did have 3 appearances for Arizona in last season. 4.15 goals against, 824 save percentage in those games. That is not good not good by any stretch of the imagination. So it makes you think that, yeah, there could be goals early and Tampa Bay could light the lamp here. And again, this Tampa Bay offense has been kind of up and down, but they broke out against Pittsburgh. We'll see if they can carry that over here to an Arizona team that's just surrendering goals in bunches so far this season. Andrew, what do you think here with Arizona Tampa?
I'm just disappointed, guys. Can you hear me okay? Sorry,
Yep.
I'm having some.
Yep.
I'm just disappointed that I haven't been on this fade the Arizona on puck line, trip for the past couple days. You know what I mean? Right now, you'd have some pretty decent money in your bankroll if you've just consistently taken the puck line on the opposition going up against Arizona, and sometimes as bettors and handicappers, we overthink a lot of things. We try and, look at these certain spots and bet on spots for teams. You know what? Like Alex said, I don't think any spot in a while is going to be a bet on spot for this Coyotes team. So look, I'm on Tampa Bay on the puck line here. I thought about their team total, but we could easily see a 3-1 win or something like that. And then we'd be pissed that, Tampa Bay still won the game by margin, but didn't cover that total. And yeah, you mentioned about Prosvetov, Ian. And one thing I'll say about him, I'm always a huge believer of you look at a goaltender when they're in and they don't get a lot of time. Players have their back. Not in this situation. Whether you're an expansion team or a bottom feeder team, you need to have great defense and a great goaltender behind you. So I'm on the puck line for Tampa Bay. Prosvetov has literally looked solid, growing through the minors, ECHL, AHL. But there's a reason why we haven't seen him since 2020, 2021. And then he was with the Roadrunners, and now he's back again. So this might be not we're tossing in the backup hoping to win. It's we're tossing in the backup, and we pretty much know that we're saving our other guy for a winnable game.
What's troubling, too, for Arizona, a winless team. And by the way, all but one of those losses has been by 2 goals or more. So only one game they will not have covered a puck line.
Like, that's just a shameful, man. How many times have I come on here and said fade the Coyotes in the puck line? Not enough.
Yep. No, it's true. And
not
now
enough times.
Yeah. Connor Timmins is out now on the blue line. He got injured the other night. Ryan Dzingel now is out, and they were already without Schmaltz and Galchenyuk up front. So now it's getting worse. Not only are you bad, you're struggling, you're giving up goals in bunches, but now you're down. You're playing your third goalie on the depth chart tonight. You're down a defenseman in Connor Timmins, and you're down Ryan Dzingel, who's a good two-way forward. So it's getting worse for Arizona now because the injuries are now starting to mount, and they can't afford that. They have no depth. What do you think here, Jimmy? Arizona, Tampa?
Yeah, I think this is, like you guys just said, it's just not a good spot for the Arizona Coyotes like every other game seems to be this year so far. I like the team total for the Tampa Bay Lightning over 3.5. You get pretty good value on it. I'm looking at -130. And then I like the over in the first period as well, over 1.5. And I think I'm seeing that at the same price. And then I'm going to take the puck line as well. Tampa Bay puck line -1.5.
All right, there you go. So Tampa team total over 3.5. First period over. Tampa puck line for Jimmy. Jimmy puck line. There he is. Colorado, St. Louis. Colorado -120. Road favorite 6 the total. In this game, of course, St. Louis now has a COVID situation that has recently emerged. And, of course, tonight, no Brandon Saad and no Ryan O'Reilly. And 2 of their top 6 forwards right there not playing. And, of course, Saad was out against the Kings as well the other night. But O'Reilly now entering the protocol, and he's going to be out for at least a week and a half, it looks like right now. So it's definitely going to be missed. The captain of the team, and not being without him is going to hurt. This is a tricky one, though, because St. Louis, they didn't have Saad the other night, and they still found a way to win. And they're an undefeated team still. And like I say with the undefeated teams, I'm trying not to bet against them until they lose. I still think the Blues, and the Colorado hasn't looked right, at any point this year. 2-4. They've not really played great 60-minute hockey. Their offense has kind of been underwhelming, including the other night losing to Vegas 3-1. They've had some games where they just haven't gotten that offensive production, even from the big guys. McKinnon and that line have been silenced, at times in games this year. And the Blues, they've played the better hockey so far. And so, yeah, they're missing Saad. They're missing O'Reilly. I'm not going to be willing to go against them until I see some things change, until I see the Blues lose a game. They've played well. They found ways, again, to win without Saad the other night against LA. So I understand that now it's probably worrisome backing St. Louis, but We can sometimes see those teams, they step up, and especially without the captain, you could see that for the Blues. And I don't know if Colorado's playing well enough where I'm ready to trust them and lay a price on the road. So right now I'm leaning toward a pass on the side. I lean to the over because of Colorado's defensive struggles. St. Louis has been an over team from the beginning this year. So I do lean to over 6, but nothing strong in this game either way. Alex, what do you think with the Avs and the Blues?
Yeah, just a lean with the over as well. And I wouldn't be shocked to see Colorado come out here and beat St. Louis. I think at some point, like I said, within the next 3 to 4 days, most of these unbeaten teams, I think, will suffer their first loss, be it regulation or an overtime or in a shootout. But like I said, the over makes more sense. Obviously, even though Bennington's 4-0, but we've seen him give up some goals at times. We know the shakiness of this Blues defense, and their offense has picked up a little bit more. Like I said, it's going to, we'll see how they do without Saad and O'Reilly. That's kind of a big blow to the offensive punch. But until things are shored up, with Colorado defensively, the only thing you can be looking here would be the over.
Remember cashing Colorado St. Louis over the total earlier this season when these teams played in Denver, 5-3 for St. Louis, and the game went over the total. That was a 5.5, though. This one's a 6. That's why I don't like this one quite as much with the adjustment in the number. Andrew, what do you think, Colorado St. Louis?
Well, I just saw that Rantanen left morning practice or pregame skate, whatever you want to call it. So that's a cause for concern.
Yes.
But my initial thought here was Colorado. I like the over as well. But you look at St. Louis right now and what they've been able to accomplish. It's great. And they've mixed, they've beaten a mixture of so-so teams and some strong teams as well. But I was saying earlier today on a different program, I keep on talking about the schedule makers and the tough job they have. What the hell did the Avalanche do to piss off the schedule makers this summer? I mean, did they, sleep with their wife or something? I don't really know what they did, but do you know who they had to play, guys? So far this season,
it's been a murderer's row.
The Colorado Avalanche. I mean, we talk about variance, we talk about, things switching, but also current form. I mean, current form is one thing, but looking up at a schedule, there has to be a spot, like Alex said. I mean, for these teams that are undefeated to get broken, but this is a spot where I think that they get right, get going, get a win, and start to continue that and snowpile, because they have literally played some of the toughest teams in the league. Vegas, Tampa, Florida, Washington, St. Louis again, and then they had Chicago, and we all know what they're up to. So, I mean, besides that first game, it's been hell and back for the Colorado Avalanche. Mix in their injuries, mix in McKinnon with COVID. I'm not as much worried about them. Devon Toews, he's still out. He's their stay-at-home defenseman. Gerard, he's out. And then Nichushkin. But other than that, I still think they'll be able to produce. I think the whole Rantanen thing might just be precautionary measures. So I like them here at a good price. You look at St. Louis's shooting percentage too, guys, expected goal stuff, way overvalued right now. I mean, they're not going to keep up the pace that they're at right now. And Ian and I have both been betting a lot of overs with St. Louis. Large part, their overs, their power play. Power play is lethal. So we'll see if Colorado can stay disciplined, stay out of the box, and I think they get the win.
All right, like in Colorado here, Rantanen's a game-time decision, by the way. I just checked. That is the latest update, so they'll see before game time if he's in. Jimmy, Colorado, St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a great game, but just the uncertainty of Rantanen and then the COVID situation in St. Louis right now, it's kind of leaving me neutral. I don't really have a feel on it, so I'm going to pass on this one, guys.
All right, we have Buffalo and Anaheim. We've got Anaheim minus 130, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Buffalo Sabres, we keep waiting for the other shoe to drop on them, but 4-2, and doesn't get much more impressive than beating the defending two-time champion Tampa Bay Lightning in their last game, 5-1. Anaheim on the flip side, how will they respond? That was their fourth loss in a row in just brutal fashion. In fact, the last two have been brutal. They coughed up a lead to Minnesota, and then they're up 3-2 with a minute and a half left against Winnipeg. And then Nikolai Ehlers strikes twice to come back for Winnipeg to erase a 3-2 deficit and win 4-3. I lean Buffalo here. I really do. I don't know if I'm going to bet it, but I lean Buffalo. I'm not laying a price with this Anaheim team. Lost 4 in a row, crushing loss the other night against Winnipeg. Not crushing for the season, but because I don't think they're making the playoffs anyway, but crushing just in the way they lost. Like, you're up 3-2 with a minute and a half to go, and you don't even get a point. Like, it's not that Winnipeg tied it and you went to overtime and you still picked up a point. No, You gave up 2 goals in about a minute or so, and you lost in regulation and got no points. That is as bad as it gets in terms of a brutal loss for the Anaheim Ducks there. So, no, there's no way I'm laying a price with this group. I'm not enamored about rushing to back Buffalo here to start a long West Coast road trip, but I would take Buffalo before I take Anaheim in this game. Alex, your thoughts here, Sabres, Ducks?
Yeah, I got nothing in this game. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to bet it. These are two, pretty bad teams, and obviously Buffalo. You think they want to start off the road trip with on a good note, and they could possibly do that against the Anaheim team where the defense is struggling. They've allowed 4 more goals in 4 straight games. Gibson has been a shell of himself so far, so you just kind of wonder, if they can get things short up defensively. The thing with Buffalo is that, they've been working hard. It's been a group effort as far as their offense goes. There's no one pinpoint player to say this guy's going to be able to light the lamp, consistently, 1 or 2 guys. So it's just a stay away from me. If anything, those of you who are watching it, maybe look to bet it live, but there's other better games on the card tonight.
All right. I agree with that. Andrew, Buffalo, Anaheim. We got mic issues with Andrew there.
Oh, okay.
There you go. How's your mic?
Sorry,
sorry.
No. Mic is fine. I just. Do you mind going to Jimmy for a second? I'll be
okay. We're gonna let Andrew collect his bearings there. All right, Jimmy, what do you think here? Buffalo, Anaheim.
It sucks because I'm with Alex. I'm passing, so I don't have much to say about this game, but I can talk if you want.
Sorry. No. The dog was. I'm done with. I won't have too many dog excuses for you guys for long. But he was napping. Girlfriend came home from lunch, got him all excited, and now he's in the room being a bugger. But yeah. I lean towards the dog here. You can't. I can't play the favorite. That's for sure. And I'm not a huge first period.
Not intended there, eh? You lean towards the dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is Henry's play of the day.
Two ways of leaning towards the dog. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Look at the numbers here for the Ducks. A lot of their games, even though they're producing goals, they aren't nice goals, guys. Some of them have been, but a lot of the percentages and stuff like that, and the advanced numbers for them haven't been great. And how long? It's like we were talking about, and even Terry's been commenting it for a while. How long until Buffalo's good and we just accept that? Not great, but how long until they aren't the dog shit team we thought they were? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing in NHL. Yeah, I think that a lot of people, another week for sure. But hey, it's not yet. It's not right now. So I like that first period over as well, though. I see some people talking about it in the live chat. I think it's a good look too. Anaheim been giving up goals early. And let's be honest, they've been playing their best hockey early in games and definitely not late in games.
Yeah, it's tricky with the total because Buffalo's played one road game too, and just one before tonight against New Jersey, and it was a tight, very tight checking, very dull, plodding game, and it was 2-1. So I think they'd prefer to be defensive on the road, Buffalo, but Anaheim's gone 4 straight to the over. So to me, it's they cancel out. That's why I don't like the total.
One note: Anthony Stolarz has started tonight. Gibson's going tomorrow against Vegas. So, which that means with Anderson and Stolarz, it could be 3-2 or it could be 7-6.
That's true because he's been good at times as well. But still,
I like that, Alex. I like that.
Not as good lately, though.
7-6.
First couple starts were good. 3.56 goals against, 911 save percentage now, though. So kind of a downturn for Stolarz. That's why I would lean Buffalo too, because like I say, they got a little more confidence, but don't love the game all that much, just to lean to the Sabres. All right, before we get to our last 4 games, DraftKings are great sponsors here at THPN and the Ice Guys, official sports betting partner of the NFL and NHL. They have you covered. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game, and if they do, you win $200 in free bets. Winner, chicken dinner. It's that simple. If DraftKings isn't available in your state or you're in Canada, don't worry. You can play for huge cash prizes all season long with the DraftKings DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports Contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL and NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download that DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right, we move on now to Minnesota and Seattle. Even money here on both sides. 5.5 the total in this game. Seattle gets the first home win in franchise history against Montreal the other night. Very impressive 5-1 win. We'll see if they can keep it up here against Minnesota. Now playing the second game of the road trip, getting the road trip off to a good start Tuesday night with a 3-2 win over the Vancouver Canucks. This one's tricky to me. Seattle could have and should have won, in my opinion, their first home game against Vancouver. They outplayed Vancouver. They carried the play to them. Demko was outstanding. It was Grubauer not playing that well that night for Seattle. He was much better, by the way, against Montreal. It was one of his better games. And I'm leery in these first few home games of Seattle, of betting against Seattle in these first few home games. They're up for them. They're fired up. It's their first, this will be their third home game now. I think they want to go on a nice little spurt here on this homestand, use the energy of the crowd, and they have played good enough, I think, to win both home games. So I lean Seattle. I don't think I'll bet it, though, because I like Minnesota, too, and the way they've played so far this season. They've been a good road team early on in the year as well. What I do lean toward is the over. And what I do lean toward is Yanni Gourde to score for Seattle, plus 240. Great price. He's going to get more responsibility, more ice time here with Seattle than he did even before with Tampa Bay. And he scored the other night a beautiful goal against Montreal. Deke Jake Allen made him look silly, to be honest with you. And it was a great goal by him. And now he's going to play top line minutes, centering the top line with Calle Yarncroke and Jaden Schwartz. So he's going to have the responsibility. He's going to get the minutes. He's going to get the opportunity. And he scored in his last game against Montreal. And now that he's healthy again and back in the Kraken lineup, I think that is a great, not a good, a great value goal scorer prop tonight. Yanni Gourde, Seattle Kraken, plus 240 for a guy playing top line minutes. Can't ask for better than that. Alex, what do you like here? Minnesota, Seattle.
Yeah, this is one where I'm probably just going to stay away from it altogether. I was going to lean with Minnesota. I like how they picked up that 3-2 win against Vancouver. That was a bit of a gritty win. But the thing you look at now is there's a couple of guys out with COVID for Minnesota. No Matt Zuccarello, no Vin Pitlick. Connor Dewar is getting recalled from Iowa to start, and this is going to be his NHL debut. But what's interesting is that he'll be playing in Seattle. He played 4 years with the Everett Silvertips in juniors, so this will kind of be a homecoming of him of sorts. So I'm sure he's definitely geared up and excited to play. I guess he'll be centering probably one of the bottom 6 lines. So when you look at this matchup, like I said, Seattle's more of a defensive-minded team. Minnesota's offense has kind of come more at home than on the road. They've actually gone 3-0 to the under, on the road. So I'm staying away from the total here. I know every time I try to get on a wild first period over, I get burned, and every time I skip it, it ends up being 2-1 or 2-2. So it's just kind of the way that's gone for me. So I'm just going to be a passing it all together.
All right, passing it all together. If there's any books too that offer Yanni Gourde shots on goal, I haven't seen many post him yet for some reason for shots on goal. But if I see that before game time, I'm interested in that. He's had 3 and 5 shots on goal for Seattle in the last 2 games. You know what? We'll go to Jimmy. We'll let Andrew collect his bearings again. Andrew, Jimmy, we'll go to you first. Minnesota and Seattle.
Ian's firing shots at me now.
Guys, I mean, just considering no Zuccarello and just the other stuff that Alex just mentioned with the Wild, I'm liking the Kraken in this. I think they get on a little run here after that first home win they got the other night. They're feeling it right now, and that place is going to be rocking. I don't know if you guys saw how great it was the other night. So give me the home team here, the Seattle Kraken on the money line.
All right, like in Seattle, and again, you can get them at pretty much minus 110 across the board, right around even money. Andrew, your thoughts here? Wild and the Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, so we all heard the information about the Wild, and I think that just helps the price. I'm going to wait until a little bit later on, and I'm going to take the Wild. Wait until I can get the best price I can. People are probably going to see some money come in on Seattle right now on pretty much I've looked at 3 different advanced metric websites. We've got Seattle 7th power rated as far as all those advanced numbers go. You got to think that this team is not going to have a 12% shooting percentage all year long. You got to think they're not going to have that many shots going unblocked. You got to think they're not going to have X amount of expected goals, because literally their expected goal numbers compared to the actual goals they're scoring is a complete different number. And I expect that to start to change, and we'll start seeing that reversal. I mean, do you guys think Tandav's going to keep lighting it up? I don't think so. Some of these guys aren't, they aren't acting like the way that they are going to be acting, throughout a full 82 game season. So back up, we got a wild team that's got a few guys out, but I feel like still guys will pick up in their place. And I think ultimately it just gives us a good price on them. So play for me here on the Wild.
All right, Andrew, liking Minnesota here in this one. Like I said, my favorite bet on this game is Gord. Plus 240. That's phenomenal for a top line guy. He's got offensive capabilities. He's going to be able to showcase them more because he's playing on a top line in Seattle compared to a third line with Tampa Bay. That's an incredible value price right there for a guy that's going to get the chances he will. Philadelphia, Vancouver. We've got Vancouver minus 130 to minus 135, home favorite, 6 the total. This is a slam dunk Canuck spot for me. I'm on Vancouver minus 130. I think they play a lot better tonight. Philadelphia's riding high off the big national TV win, handed the Oilers their first loss of the season. It's come back down to earth time for the Flyers, and it doesn't hurt the cause that good old Martin Jones is in net tonight for the Philadelphia Flyers either in this game. I think it's a great bounce back situation for Vancouver after losing their home opener against the Minnesota Wild the other night, 3-2. Jarl Halak in net tonight for the Canucks. They're going to give Thatcher Demko a rest. So far, so good, though, for Halak. He played well. He lost to Detroit, but he played well enough to win that game. 2.07 goals against average. I think it's a good bounce-back situation here for Vancouver. Philly team on the second of back-to-backs and with Martin Jones in net. So Canucks for me, minus 130 to minus 135. Alex, what do you think here? Flyers, Canucks.
Martin Jones is in net, so I'm going to be on the over 6. And I'm going to stay away from the first period over. I can see where this maybe slowed down a little bit. Philly's going to try to play a little bit more sound defensively after that crazy first period we saw last night. It was a lot of fun to watch. They ended up getting the 3-2 lead. If you had, a draw for the first period or Oilers first period, what should have been a push ended up being a loss with that buzzer beater by the Flyers, 6/10 of the second left. So that's a bit of a bad beat. But this is definitely going to be a game I feel like we'll see, a ton of goals, more so later than earlier. So keep that in mind if you're watching for in-game, get some live second period overs and third period overs as well.
And a good long-term record here for Vancouver. Off a home loss, Vancouver 18-10. So good numbers there for Vancouver. They've been good at coming off a home loss in particular. So, and again, they've got the rest edge, scheduling edge. I still think they're a better team than they proved. They already beat. Now, it is revenge for Philly, you could say, because Philly lost in a shootout to Vancouver a couple weeks ago. But the schedule just doesn't set up well for the Flyers, and neither does their starting goaltender tonight, in my opinion, Martin Jones. So give me Vancouver here. Andrew, what do you think, Philly and Vancouver?
Yeah, I don't think revenge plays a huge factor right now in the season. These guys are going through their games. Could be, but for this Flyers team, it's funny, guys. I keep making jokes saying that I don't think the Flyers have much depth. Doesn't matter if your main guys keep scoring the goals, does it? You don't really need it if those are the guys that are scoring. But yeah, I was talking with Jimmy and Ian after our show a couple days ago. I was real pissed off about losing that over with Vancouver and the Wild. And I realized that my theory should more so be overs at the end of the road trip, but first game back home, just fade that team. And it was their home opener. I thought they would have had a couple of goals, but Vancouver just didn't do their part in that over for me. And I'm not saying I'm holding a grudge against them. I'm saying the second game back at home is where the spot is to get on them. And I think it lines up even better for odds value is the fact that Philly's actually playing some pretty good hockey right now. So I'm right there on Vancouver, guys. Locked it in regulation. I mentioned earlier when I came back about, last week, talking about trying to get just better value on some of these picks I'm making. Picking times like yesterday with the Maple Leafs. If I was playing the Maple Leafs, you want to get that in the money line because they're struggling so much. But I think here you can get plus 120 on the Vancouver Canucks. I want to turn that minus into a plus here. Regulation Canucks.
Vancouver in regulation. By the way, Flyers back. You talk about teams. Some teams are good in the back-to-back. Vegas is 12-1. They beat Dallas last night. Vegas is 12-1 in the second night of back-to-back games, their last 13. That's a little nugget to file away for future reference. Vegas 12-1 in their last 13 games on the second night of back-to-back games. Flyers are the polar opposite. 0-7 in their last 7 games on the second night of back-to-back games. So they've not been good in this spot. Speaking of teams that have not been good in spots or any spot lately, the Montreal Canadiens taking on the San Jose Sharks. We've got San Jose minus 125 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. This is my Jimmy. I've never done this. I've always wanted to. I'm going to do the Jimmy Murphy here. Pass. Pass.
Well, you just passed Jimmy Murphy on his pick for that previous game.
I thought that.
Oh yeah, there we go, Jimmy. Philly, Vancouver, Jimmy. My bad. Go ahead.
I like the Flyers. Keep it rolling, man. I love the way they played last night. They had a good up-tempo game against a tough team on the road, and I like them to continue here despite Martin Jones between the pipes.
All right, gonna back Martin Jones, and you're getting a decent price there, plus 115. I don't love the spot, but we'll see. They are playing better. We'll see if they can keep it up tonight. But Montreal, San Jose, this is a pass for me. This is San Jose back home off a long road trip. This has been the Alex B. Smith, Ian Cameron Classic or special, whatever you want to call it, for years. Has been fading San Jose in this first home game off a long road trip. And I want no part of laying a price with San Jose here. But I equally want no part of Montreal right now, not after what I saw the other night against Seattle, 1-6. I saw a bunch of gloomy Gus faces in the press conference. Woe is me. Just totally despondent, after that loss against Seattle. Can't figure out what's going wrong and how to fix it. I want no part of either of these teams in this spot in particular. So pass for me. Alex, Montreal, San Jose.
I grabbed Montreal yesterday at plus 120, and I had a feeling like, okay, some money is going to come in. I had no idea. At one point, I saw where it was even money at one point. Now we're seeing it kind of bounce back, $5, $10. I think everybody's kind of, caught on to this trend. Like I said, it's been a decade now with fading San Jose, first time back at home, especially when playing out east. So I worry about Jake Allen getting run down. Obviously, he's doing, holding the bulk of the work in net with no Carey Price still. And you wonder if Montreal, if they're going to go to Montembeault at some point during this trip, or if they're going to try to even make a move. They don't trust Montembeault enough to necessarily be a guy who can carry them for 1 or 2 games. But you don't want to risk running Jake Allen down and then put yourself into even a bigger hole. So he will start tonight, going against Aiden Hill, a goalie who I don't trust at all. So I still feel confident enough that Montreal can get things rolling and take advantage of could be a possibly sleepwalking Sharks team early.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so pissed the schedule's done this. Like, Montreal's the one team you made sure that I would not be betting against San Jose tonight, putting Montreal in this spot here against San Jose. By the way, Montreal's lost 12 straight in the Shark Tank. 12 straight losses in San Jose. So Alex is rolling the dice. Tonight's the night. Montreal snaps that ugly skid that they've not played good on the West Coast for years, whether it's San Jose, Anaheim, LA. They've been brutal on the West Coast and Montreal on these road trips over the years. Andrew, what's your thoughts here? The struggling Habs against San Jose.
Yeah, before I even started betting on sports or handicapping or even really knew about betting in the betting world, I've known that the Habs have not been good on their West Coast road trips. I never looked forward to it, never looked forward to watching them. And the funny thing is, I'd be staying up late here on the East Coast. You're all pumped up to watch your team, and then I would see them just get crushed. And I'd always think something would change. They haven't won in San Jose since 1999. So part of me is thinking about that and just like, damn, like that's a crazy amount of time, guys. I'm looking at this bet. I'm not sure I'm not sure if this is for everybody, but you guys see team totals at your books in regulation. Is that something that you guys can bet? I don't want to give that out.
Some do. Yep.
And usually that pops up on for some books, it'll pop up live, so you can bet it right as the game starts.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at Montreal team total over 2.5 minus 120 in regulation is what I got. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. The with OT included, it bumps up to like minus 145 or something like that. But I think Montreal gets back their scoring touch. I'm kind of pissed off at myself after hearing what Jimmy was talking about, reminded us about them going to the Seahawks game, because I saw pictures of it all over social media. and maybe they just weren't ready for their road trip. I think the second game of a road trip is actually a good bet on spot here. And let's not forget which team is playing the first game back at home. Again, another spot like this, and we'll see what happens. So we're going against a very long trend here, boys. But
they could score 3 and still lose, so not necessarily, yeah. But partially going against it, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried my hand with the over 2.5 the other night. Actually, I would lean that way too tonight as well, but was not happy seeing them only score 1 the other night against Seattle. But 2.5. The offense I thought was going to get a kickstart after scoring 6 against Detroit, and they stepped backward again against Seattle. We'll see if they can find the back of the net tonight. Winnipeg, Los Angeles. Now, final game on this Thursday card.
It's me again.
Sorry, Jimmy. Montreal, San Jose. I don't know what's going on. It's not intentional, I swear.
It's my fault because I got the order mixed up initially at one point. So I'll take it.
All right, guys. I'll get right to it. I'm gonna party like it's 1999. Give me the Habs on money line.
All right, there you go. Turn the clock back to pre-century days when Montreal actually won games in the Shark Tank.
Let's break the trend, Jimmy.
Yep. That's Montreal plus 110, and Alex is on that as well. And I kind of lean to the team total for Montreal. So, but I'm going to stay off the money line for sure. The only thing I'd bet is the team total for Montreal. I'd stay off the money line. Winnipeg, Los Angeles, even money, both sides here, 5.5 the total. I'm not going to fight it. The Jets have found offense without Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele, and LA's returning home off a long road trip. It's an over 5.5 for me with Jets and Kings. I think the Kings too. Look, they got to muster some offense, and I like the idea of team getting shut out in their last game, which the Kings were 1-0 at the end of that road, 3-0, I should say, at the end of that road trip against St. Louis. I think a chance for the Kings to, at least against this Jets team, bounce back a little bit, find their way maybe to scoring some goals. Jets have gone over now in 5 straight games, 4-3, 6-5, 5-1, 6-4, 4-3, and the Jets have scored 3 goals or more in all of those games as well. And I think the Kings now back home, let's not forget, they haven't been home since the 2 games against Minnesota and Vegas. They scored 8 goals in those 2 games for an average of 4 goals per game. So nothing on the side. This is just over 5.5. I think the Jets are, Ehlers and Dubois playing well, and they're getting Andrew Kopp and some other forwards stepping up for them offensively right now. And on the flip side, I like to think that, teams off a shutout loss, what are they looking at in that next game, especially back home in front of the fans? You want to get that offense going a little bit. So Jets, Kings over 5.5 for me tonight. Alex, Winnipeg, Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm really just sending it out to my clients. I played it about 20 minutes ago when I noticed that number drop. I saw 6s at one point, but now 5.5. And especially now with the confirmation of Jonathan Quick going for LA against Eric Comrie going for the Jets, I think this is a great spot where we can see goals. And especially, Drew Doughty is sorely missed at both ends for LA, but even more so on that back end. So I think Winnipeg's definitely going to have chances to score.
Yeah, exactly. You got the weaker goalies. Obviously, Eric Comrie's weaker than Connor Hellebuck. I think we can all agree on that. And I'd say at this stage of his career, Jonathan Quick is weaker than Cal Peterson for Los Angeles as well. So, yep, over 5.5 here. And it's, Sean Walker, key defenseman as well for the LA Kings out. You're right. He got injured the other night against the St. Louis Blues. And that's one of the guys they rely on in a shutdown role as well. Doughty as well, banged up. So shorthanded on the blue line. It adds up to me to go over. Andrew, Jets, Kings.
I'm on the Jets in regulation plus 155 here. This is a team that I just, I didn't like the number I was getting with them. I liked them as a dog here as a smaller play, but I want to get that better value and get that better price here. And I feel like they've gotten it together. Not the best start to their season, strung together a few good wins. And I'm going to ignore the defensive lows and just put some credit towards the scoring. Ehlers scores those 2 late goals. He put that puck where grandma keeps the cookies, and that's a tough goal to score. I've been talking about shooting percentage quite a bit on the show today. Obviously that one, 9 times out of 10, it's hard to hit that angle. But point being is, just like in basketball, seeing the shot go in, the Jets are starting to see the puck go in the net here. And Comrie, you know what? I would like to have Hellebuck in here, obviously, but I think Comrie will step up in his opportunity and get the win. And like Alex said, it's a good opportunity and a decent matchup even up against Quick. So I like the Jets here. And I think the Kings, as much as they're going to be some bet on spots for them, tonight's not the night here. Plus 155. Great number here, I think, in regulation for the Jets.
All right, Winnipeg in regulation, plus 155. And we've talked about some teams that their offensive numbers are outperforming their expected goals. This is the reversal for LA. They actually should be probably scoring a few more goals than they have, especially of late, based on the numbers. So this could be a night against a backup goalie for Winnipeg and back home in front of Staples, too, for the Kings to maybe get their offense on track a little bit. And I will not forget Jimmy Murphy this time. Jimmy, what do you think? Winnipeg, Los Angeles.
Just like you like to say, Ian, Benny, you're the Jets. I can't do it as good as you, though. Give me the Jets on the puck line.
There you go, Jimmy. Puck line. For the extra value, we can get the puck line for Winnipeg -1.5 plus 230. Very good price there. Jets puck line -1.5 for Jimmy. All right, that is the Thursday NHL card. We appreciate everybody joining us live on the show. As always, and those of you that are downloading the podcast version and listening, we appreciate it as well. Let's get to best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, we'll start with you. Best bet for Thursday.
We'll go with the Coyotes and Lightning first period over. You get that minus $1.15 or $1.20. Tampa Bay's heard everybody, including us, probably talking about how they've only scored one goal in the first period. They're getting off to slow starts. Well, they'll be able to rectify that situation tonight against Prevetsov and the struggling Arizona Coyotes. So I like that first period over.
All right, there you go. Arizona, Tampa Bay, first period over, 1.5 at -115 to -120 in that range. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Andrew McInnis, best bet.
Give me the Wild money line here. Kraken, I think they're overplaying for what they're actually worth here, and I think it's a good spot for the Wild. People are going to look down on them. COVID issues, people start raising hell, red flags everywhere. Let's settle down here. Wild are the better team. They'll show it tonight.
All right, -110 Minnesota over Seattle. Best bet for Andrew McInnis. Jimmy Murphy, best bet.
Going to go right with what I just said there. The Jets on the puck line over the Kings.
All right, Winnipeg -1.5 plus 230 against Los Angeles. Best bet for Jimmy Murphy. My best bet is going to be, I'm going to go with Vancouver, -130 to -135 against Philadelphia. I think it makes sense. Good off a home loss. They don't want to lose 2 in a row to start the homestand. They were caught in that first spot off the long road trip. They didn't play their best. Now they catch Philly, where the schedule's against them this time around. And how can we not go against our good friend Martin Jones? Just cannot resist. Vancouver -130 to -135, home favorites against Philly. We'll go with that for my best bet. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. We thank everybody for joining us live. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. The only hockey betting show on the web that is 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Make sure you download the podcast and all those different platforms if you can't watch live. For Alex B. Smith, Andrew McInnis, Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.